yeah, for YouTube's context for YouTube, in my stream recording a segment for me to put on YouTube. Uh, I'm going to be going over the controversy. Well, Vaush's video summarizing his controversy with J.K. Rowling, who is a TERF, a trans-inclusionary radical feminist, and a few of the arguments that he uses against J.K. Rowling could also be used in defense of pedophilia, and I wanted to like go over that on stream and in a video for YouTube as well. Um, so yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. I'll just hit play.
Oh wait, J.K. Rowling actually did screenshot me. Hold up, lads. Y'all gotta go to J.K. Rowling's Twitter. I wondered if being sexist in the reply to this would come back to bite me, but, you know, in retrospect, I regret nothing. Ratio her? Are you kidding? Do it? I can't ratio J.K. Rowling. Hold on, I'm doing the tweet here on the phone. Hold on. Just no lady, please. I'm gonna do the lady. You can't stop me from saying lady. Okay, fine. What's her actual first name? Joanne. Gotcha. Alright, how about this? Listen, Joanne, you don't get to play the victim card when you're the advocate for taking away women's rights here. Trans women are raped and killed in men's facilities, and you want to keep them there because of your trauma. Quit making your feelings other people's oppression. No, don't be nice. Was that nice? Alright. Folks, it's still a charity fundraising stream, okay? Fundraising stream means you have to participate. Everyone has to go on Twitter and go like that, alright? Like and retweet. Just, quote tweeting. Hold on. Complaining about how victimized you are when you're a billionaire being mocked for advocating against civil rights is the height of crybullying. Advocating against? Fighting civil rights? Opposing civil rights. I think, yeah, opposing. There we go. Wow! That response, the response that I gave her, 2,500 likes. I gotta say, guys, you're really outdoing yourself. Now, I know the odds here are against us, but if it were possible, even briefly, to ratio J.K. Rowling, you know, if you guys could make that happen, that would be a resume filler for the rest of my life, okay? Even if inevitably...
Yeah, I feel like the same string of logic here. Because, yeah, I've talked about it in my previous two segments that I uploaded to YouTube, and I've talked about it before on my stream, even before I started making the segments for YouTube. A lot of the anti-pedos on the left are what I would call second wave TERFs. And it's because they use like the same like line of logic, and a lot of them, even though, yeah, a lot of them were victims of CSA, child sexual abuse. That does not excuse the arguments that they're advocating for, and then when you oppose their, you know, advocation for like blatant oppression and some like literal fascist shit, when you oppose it, they're just like, hey, you're triggering me of my trauma or reminding me of my trauma. You can't use your trauma as a justification to oppress other people. You can't play victim when you're advocating for like the killing and locking up of people who've done nothing wrong. And newsflash for anyone watching this on YouTube, read the DSM. Pedophiles have done nothing wrong. They're not even considered a disability. There actually isn't like any sort of treatment or anything that a pedophile would at all even be recommended by a psychiatrist. Just shut the fuck up. Sorry.
It gets drowned out. I'm just saying, I believe in you guys, alright? Yes, the JK ratio. We have the viewers for it. It is technically possible. Oh, God, I keep dropping my controller. Get your mothers to like the damn tweet, currently making 6 alt accounts. I love you guys. God. Okay. we're going to we're going to revisit. We're gonna revisit this soon, okay? We're gonna revisit this soon. However, I am dedicated. I am dedicated to continuing the fundraising stream. So please do you know, continue to make a spirited effort over on that side of the fence. How does it feel to be living in the timeline where J.K. Rowling compares you to her ex-husband? I gotta say, I have absolutely no respect for people who allow their trauma to become other people's problems. J.K. Rowling has been doing this for like 2 years now, where it's like, well, I may want to take away people's civil rights, but when the people are mean to me in response, that reminds me of my abusive ex. I don't give a f. Yeah, just go to therapy, lady. Would you get J.K. Rowling on for a debate? I don't know why you would ask me stuff like
The like it's that same exact thing. Like I'm pretty sure if Vaush were not gaslit, because I don't consider Vaush part of the second wave TERFs. Um, but I think he's a victim of gaslighting by the second wave TERFs. And I think if he was fully informed and like had that gaslighting removed, I think he would consistently apply that same logic to pedophilia. Just like, you know, no patience for people who are making their trauma something that's no longer affecting them, other people's problems, and just like you can't play the victim card immediately after advocating for genocide. Okay, you can't advocate for genocide of a group of people and not give any sort of sources or anything on why you that group of people is bad. You're completely just essentializing like rape to this group of people. You're not going to give any sources on that. You're not going to explain anything, and then you're going to play the victim card. You don't get to do that. But I mean, it is a little harsh. But also, so is saying that like all pedophiles deserve to die.
that. All you're gonna do when you make me think about stuff like that is make me salivate, okay? It's not gonna happen. Aren't you terrified of such huge negative exposure? Nah. Were you ever a fan of her books? Like everyone else in the early aughts. I did indeed enjoy the Harry Potter books, like when I was maybe 12 to 15. But past that, no. Sorry, Vaush, you won't ratio J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling is one of those famous wealthy people who doesn't actually insulate herself from social media and legitimately just spends time on Twitter like doom scrolling. So just all the negativity she's getting in response to her tweet makes me happy enough. Can't believe the audacity of these bitches. My trauma, my abusive ex-husband means that now 20 years later I get to get trans people killed? Okay? Show me the math on that one. Show me the equation. Can you do that for me? Can you show me on the math sheet how you worked your way to that conclusion? Yeah, can I?
Like, you need to keep in mind that there's a lot more teleos that offend than pedos. So, like, they hate pedos, but statistically, they were offended against by a teleo. So they're not even attributing it to the same people. It's the same exact thing that, you know, TERFs are doing. They were, you know, raped or abused by men, and now they're attributing that to this subgroup of men and using it as an excuse to hate this subgroup of men, even though empirically there's no justification for it. I mean, you just hate all men. This is just an easy target for you.
I got a source on that? Vaush, I'm sorry to say, but she retweeted a trans Uncle Tom calling you a pedo. Guys, I don't care. It's fine. Just go in there and do your business in the replies, okay? It's just some random nobody. The only reason J.K. Rowling retweeted that one is because they're a pick-me, who dislikes me more than they like having their own trans rights. My engagement would only elevate them. The trans person's bio is, I don't identify as a woman, I identify with women. God. Imagine living that life. God almighty. My rights are not women's rights is so sad, though. You know, to a point, I feel bad for the, like, you know, pick-me types or whatever, but they kind of choose this life for themselves, you know? So many people in life, and this isn't just a political thing, this is a thing in general. So many people in life make their insecurities your problem, you know? Like, you just want to live your life, you want to figure your own stuff out, but these people, because they lack confidence to assert their identity and defend the legitimacy of their identity, try to pull you down with them to be seen as the, you know, the reasonable one or whatever else. Oh my god! A member of the British House of Lords retweeted J.K. Rowling. What a wild day. God damn, that's a lot of likes on a tweet. I'll take this, you know, I didn't think I'd ratio Rowling, but I'll take, you know,
some later parts that also.
Oh yeah, for those of you who joined the stream later, J.K. Rowling has it out for me. Very proud of the notoriety that I've earned with my spicy tweets.
I'll cut out the center parts for the YouTube.
Cis woman argues with cis man about how many rights to take away from trans people. When do we ever
a lot
get
of
to
stuff
speak?
that don't apply to.
This shit fucked up my entire timeline. Yeah, true but odd framing. I get it. Look, keep in mind that I'm a member of basically every dominant power group, but like, can you imagine? Imagine, like, well, I guess a lot of you are black, but if you're not, imagine being black and just, like, it's all whiteys arguing your shit all the time. Like, I imagine that if that's the case, even people who are on your side, you know, like, there must be a frustration to that. Like, you made Newsweek?
I personally wouldn't have a problem with that. Just because no one fucking argues our side. Pretty cool. No one argues it well. Mr. Girl does argue it. He argues it decently. Okay, I'll give him that. But practically no one argues it well.
J.K. Rowling is really boosting my notoriety. Damn, my name is even on here. Oh my god, this is like a full article. With like additional info. It's not just Twitter content bait. Man, Reuters, Newsweek, holy shit. Look, all this means is that people are going to be looking up Vaush on Twitter because I'm trending, and then they're going to see my charity stream and they're going to pop in, okay? That's what I want. You should use this to get verified. Oh, I definitely have enough info to get verified now. I don't understand the point of the women be quieter joke. It was International Women's Day. One common slogan associated with women's liberation is women be loud, don't apologize. Which I generally agree with. But I hate how J.K. Rowling appropriates feminism for the sake of, you know, expressing bigotry. So I was engaging in a little ironic misogyny arena, which has never, ever, ever, you know, come back to bite me before. Vaush, you're number 12 on the regular trending tab right now. The regular trending tab? This might end up being the first time that I've been non-locally trending. The Newsweek article is going to propel things further. Let me let it get a little bit higher, like 10 or past, and then I'll put out another tweet. It's impossible to believe that Ian Vaush, Koczynski's supposed master of rhetoric, didn't know exactly what he was doing by saying of J.K. Rowling, women need to learn to shut up. He's a right-wing troll pretending to be an ally, teeing up easy rhetorical wins for transphobes. I don't know if this is an easy rhetorical win for J.K. Rowling. This wasn't the conspiracy bait. I've seen a ton of takes like this. I feel like the people who are saying this just, like, want me to be a useful idiot for transphobes. Like they want that. That's the desired end goal. I have to say, I feel like if anyone's doing a disservice to trans people, it's pretending that J.K. Rowling looks good here in order to fulfill your dislike towards me. To be fair, it was unnecessary, but yeah, everyone should be against J.K. Rowling. Who cares if it was unnecessary? What is necessary? What does necessary mean? I don't care what necessary means. Hey. Do you think there's a problem with... Okay, now I'm just reading chat. You guys got me involved in discourse again. I was having fun playing the game. Do you think there's a problem with misogyny in your community at all? There's a problem with misogyny in all communities, okay? Not just my community. Do I have like an especially
I think
like a meaningful or significant problem with misogyny in this community? No, I don't think so. I
I think the
genuinely don't.
points that he's about to like lead
Just south
into.
of the historic cities of Richmond, my hometown of Petersburg,
I mean, that's a
Virginia,
good
nestled amidst hundreds.
excuse to come off with
Agree.
something. I think the point that he's about to lead into, also applies to pedophilia as well, and like should be kept in mind. I'll elaborate more.
But you probably
After
just
he
set
leads
yourself up
into
by
it.
saying there's a problem everywhere. It would be dishonest of me to pretend otherwise. I really don't care. Here's the problem, okay? One of the problems with J.K. Rowling in particular is that she's been able to posture her transphobia as a kind of reflexive, you know, common sense, second wave feminist desire to protect women. I genuinely feel like one of the worst things you can do to legitimize that is to try to frame all of your criticisms of her in some kind of chiding feminist to feminist voice. I don't give a fuck about that. J.K. Rowling is cringe, and she's a dumb bitch, and you should all say it. She's a cunt. She uses her trauma to oppress people. She's unimaginably powerful and wealthy, and she uses it to make the lives of minority groups worse. I don't give... Yeah, she's a dumb bitch. I hope one day the fates align so that I can say that directly to her face. I don't care. And she'll call me sexist that I'm trying to silence women, then I'll say I'm just trying to silence dumb bitches. There are plenty of women who aren't. I don't care. Quit optics frogging. I don't care. I swear to God, I sealed the death of my community. That's the fuck... You guys, I really did seal the Sisyphusian task of managing you guys optics frogging me 24/7, okay? Guys, if you care so much about optics and good rep for the left, why the f do you watch me? Do you have any idea what my reputation is like? Why on earth would I be the person you would bring this to? Listen, if J.K. Rowling wants to frame all of her opposition as like women-hating bigots looking to silence her, she's been doing that for years. You really think me not making that joke would have stopped her? You can all be on your best behavior in the world, alright? And she's still gonna find the one or two trans people tweeting in ways she can frame it as misogyny. All you do by playing this optics game is reframe things to her benefit by trying to restrain everyone to adhere to an optical guideline set that she doesn't actually care about, okay? Besides, it's a lose anyway, because, like, what are you gonna do when it's not me? What if it's not me that J.K. Rowling decides to screenshot? What if it's just some smaller account? Like, what are you gonna do? Go into their DMs and go, oh, well, you should have been a little bit less aggressive so it couldn't be perceived as sexist? It is impossible. It's not possible. You're never going to win this game. Ever. You're never gonna win this game. My behavior is my behavior, and whether you like it or not, that's just not changing. If you don't like it and it makes you upset, you have to leave. I'm sorry. Do it for your own health. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's always going to be some people who are offended by it, right? But I've had this conversation so many times. It's not like I'm not willing to hear it out. I've heard it out. I'm fine with how things are. I think it's okay to have conversations like this when the person who's being spoken to isn't even receptive to the discourse, but I've talked about it, like, so many times. I don't know. I got this email from a person who was saying that they really
He's gotten past the point that I wanted to get to. I thought he would say something that'll like allow me to hook into it better. But he talked about how, like, you know, watching your language, being able to phrase yourself perfectly so that way the people who oppose you can't like twist it into something that's to make it so they can write you off easily. And like people do that a lot with pedophilia, and to an extent, you need to just. It's not that you need to just not care because there's nothing we can do. It's that the people who are writing us off should care, because it's not our responsibility to, like everyone is responsible for their own misconceptions and misinformation. It's not our responsibility to be able to perfectly phrase things in like a perfect rhetorical manner, so that way when we're trying to explain to you, hey, you essentially believe in fascism but only against this small minority of people, um, it's not my responsibility to find the magic twisty tongue words to make sure that when you're hearing that, you don't like shit your pants and start crying. It's not like a we talk about this with like civil rights all the time. Um, for black people, even not J.K. Rowling, the fuck J.K. Rowling, even Martin Luther King Jr. Um, he talked about it in his "I Had a Dream" speech, like what it's white people's responsibility for to you know learn their misconceptions uh, and disprove them because it's a lot harder for the minority itself to disprove them. And if you like, currently we call it white fragility. White fragility is a term for when white people are getting like systematic racism or systematic oppression explained to them, and they take that as an attack, or they're getting something about racism or another race explained to them, and it just bothers them or grosses them out or annoys them or makes them feel bad, and therefore they just write it off. That's known as white fragility. The left deals with that a lot. There's a concept they're familiar with. Um, what's the yeah. But what's annoying is that they don't apply that same thing to like pedophilia. I I've talked about this before, and I called it victim's blockage or defender's blockage. Yeah. It's a poor white fragility is very poorly named. It's because like the one group of people who need to understand it are going to get pissed off at the name and then just stop listening. But another thing is with us needing to make sure we avoid the brown note while talking to people, otherwise they might shit their pants. Um, is when the antis, the left, uh, all of the second wave TERFs, when they're eventually forced to face the truth and like look the science dead in the eyes and um, can no longer just like dodge the truth and just avoid things. They're going to say, well, sorry, I didn't know, or they're going to look back at people like Mr. Girl's debate with Vaush or Mr. Girl's debate with Hunter Avalon, um, and then they're going to say, well, maybe they should have said things better. That's victim blaming. You're blaming um, you're blaming the people who are oppressed, don't have access to knowledge. You continuously silence anyone who speaks up. You're blaming that group of people for not having a collected, shared shared portion of knowledge and the rhetorical skills necessary to convince you to change your mind before you write them off as insane. You're blaming them for their inability to do things while you continuously stop them from being able to do said things. It's going to be like very annoying, and yeah, it just sounds like racism itself. It is. It is just all sort of oppressions and essentializing of traits to a group of people just follow the same exact curve. I think Philosophy Tube in her one video on anti-Semitism, I think she talks about this one theory that like all oppressions are the same fight, where like it's not like there's a group fighting for races, like black people are fighting for um civil rights based off of you know fighting against racism, and then women are fighting against sexism. It's that they're both fighting the same fight but from different angles. And as long as sexism exists, the same it can spread right back out into racism because they have similar mindsets. Because like all forms of oppressive groups have similar like mindsets and values. Yeah. Um So it's also the reason why the left has the one term injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Because if you have oppression in one group, you're just like a line away from that same group of oppressors from just turning their head over. And we see this right now with the second wave TERFs have already started to spread, and now we have black separatist or black nationalist, people like Professor Flowers, but they just blend completely in with the left. And if you don't know what a black nationalist is or who Professor Flowers is, they're essentially reverse racist. They're black people. They're reverse fascist. They're black people who want an ethno state and want white people to be genocided. Or not necessarily they want white people to be genocided, but white people are their political enemy, and if they were to be genocided, they would not stop the genocide from happening. Essentially, there's that whole group of people, while they blend in perfectly with the left, thanks to um, these second wave TERFs, that whole group of people are just potential fascists, just as long as that fascism targets whites. Yeah, they're just a fascist, but in other terms. And their talking points mirror fascism like identically. Vaush had a debate with Professor Flowers, and in his debate with Professor Flowers, he stops and he says, "Hey, I've debated a lot of fascists. Um, I've debated a lot of fascists, and your talking points right now, what you're saying, sounds identical to what I've heard before." Yeah, yeah. Someone in chat sent this. Uh, I'm not gonna say the name of the person in chat because I'm putting this on YouTube. Like I have the segment recording for YouTube. Um, Fridays for Future removes musician from demo because of dreadlocks because she is white, and it's just reverse racism. There is that whole um, you'll hear people say uh, black people can't be racist, and then uh, they'll use a different definition for racism than like typical racism. There's racism, which black people definitely can be racist under the normal definition of racist, and then there's um like the critical theory version of racism. And I'm not like bashing critical race theory. Critical race theory is like a area of thinking. It is critical theory, which is an entire branch of philosophy as applied to racial problems. Yeah, yeah. It's just racism. It's not reverse racism. But critical race theory is just critical theory applied to racial injustices. So it's essentially, in critical theory, is like the uh, thinking of things through a societal lens, or like through like a much broader, uh, trying to account for other societal factors. And through the critical theory definition for racism, black people can't be racist because in order for racism to happen on a societal level, there needs to be a power imbalance. But racism on like a personal level does not need a power imbalance, and you can in fact be racist and be black. That controversial take here. It's racist to hate people based off the color of their skin. Sorry. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna pause the
They wanted
video.
to, like, they were on the brink of leaving my community. They were on the brink of quitting because they just couldn't stand me using ableist words. They were talking about how it made them feel really, really bad to hear me talk like that. And I realized this person shouldn't be watching me. Like, no offense to them. If they don't want to if they don't want to listen to that stuff, then that's their right. But they probably just shouldn't be watching me. And I talked with them for a bit. Like, I emailed back and forth as best as I could, because I don't got that much free time. But at the end of it, like what conclusion can you arrive at besides, like, it's not even an insult. Like, it's not even, oh, you're too sensitive, or like it's your fault or whatever. It's just, there are different, everyone has different thresholds for acceptable levels of some types of behavior. And it's okay to be at different points, right? I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with, for example, having a problem with my ironic misogyny. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's morally wrong. I don't think your beliefs or your preferences are wrong. They're just as right as mine. But it's clearly like a different stylistic preference, right? And I feel often like I'm being pulled in all directions because there are people in my community who really want me to curtail the edgy stuff. But, like, that's not me, And not just the stuff you guys don't like. Because a lot of people in my community, they're like, okay, well, we don't like it when you say the R slur, when you do this or that. But, I can appease you, maybe. But there are also people who want me to stop saying stuff like stupid and idiot. And if you think that's going too far, then that's my argument for you, right? Like, you can't arbitrarily draw that line and then say, well, that line of acceptable edginess is the objective line, and everyone further than that is crazy, It's just difficult to manage. You now have a description on the trending tab. Oh, base. The optics that I want you guys to consider, the reason why I've talked about optics so much, is because I feel like the left has a problem where they have really good arguments that are marred by poor delivery. That there are a lot of things they don't take into consideration, whether that be the way the arguments are constructed, or like the people making them, or the attitudes they take, the language they use, stuff like that. I think optics are really important in that respect. But what I call optics is not the same as respectability politics, which is what I fear a lot of you guys are kind of conflating. Respectability politics is the assumption that engaging uncivilly in discourse, being rude, being aggressive, being mean, being antagonistic, being problematic, is in and of itself.
Yeah, someone in chat just asked, did you say this is recorded for YouTube? Yeah, I have what I'm streaming recorded for YouTube. I don't have chat getting recorded, and I make sure not to mention names of anyone who who talks in chat, because yeah, just for the sake of anonymity. If you're curious about checking out the YouTube channel, I have it's linked in both the description for the stream and on my main profile. I have so far I have this clip that I'm recording right now, and then before this I went through Mr. Girl. Mr. Girl had a debate with a lefty debate bro called Hunter Avalon, and they had a debate on pedophilia, and I reviewed their debate. I've already uploaded part 1 of that, but I wasn't able to do it all in one night. So I have part 2 that I did earlier, and that's recorded, and now I'm recording another segment now where I'm going over the J.K. Rowling drama, and because there's a few arguments that I remember Vaush used that I think are can be pretty well applied to pedophilia. But yeah, I am recording this for YouTube.
Wrong. It's bad to do that. And it should be avoided. And the problem is that civility politics is often cynically invoked by liberals to hamstring progressives. So we saw a lot of this with Black Lives Matter. In a way, civility politics is what was used against the rioters, the looters, and the arsonists, The idea that you have a legitimate movement which is being curtailed by the bad ones, which you have to answer for, apologize for. I don't apologize for the BLM rioters or the arsonists or whatever. I don't care. They're not the point. And in my case here, I feel like in a way you're affirming the liberal, or I guess in J.K. Rowling's position, the TERF position, that I have committed a wrong by engaging in some ironic sexism against a billionaire transphobe bigot who was literally the vanguard of that movement, you know? I feel like in a way you're legitimizing the presumption, the idea that the idea that, well, okay, that is uncivil engagement and therefore it is bad to do so. If I hadn't engaged in ironic misogyny, J.K. Rowling would have never screenshotted that. You know why? Because she was looking for stuff to get mad at. And with her massive
It is unspeakable power. Whatever you dream.
platform, she would have found anything, anyone, which she has before. She has literally sent the dogs after just random queer people who showed up outside of her known mansion. Articles have been written about the location of this mansion. It wasn't doxing. They're just regular people showing up there with a pro-trans sign, and she attacked them. But she made a mistake. I'm not some random trans person. I'm a feral internet debate lord. I am not even remotely intimidated by the size of her platform. I revel in it. I never would have gotten to be the person she screenshotted if it wasn't for that language. She would have found that language no matter what, but because I'm like me, I got to be the person screenshotted. And I think it's way the hell better for Newsweek articles, post-millennial articles, and J.K. Rowling quote tweets to be directed against me, my huge community, my rabid community, than against some other random trans account or whatever. And believe you me, she would have found something else, okay? Because she's done this before. How many times has she done this? How many times has she found, like, some random mean trans person online and been like, look at this, I'm being silenced by these violent, radical trans... Like, she's done this like a million times, okay? I don't think anything's gonna change from her perspective. The difference here is that I got to be the difficult target. So that's why I'm a little frustrated by people who are doing the optics frogging, because I feel like you're mistaking optics frogging for civility politics. If I were to debate J.K. Rowling, like on a public setting, which won't happen, but if I were to, I would never engage in anything like that. I would never engage in anything that approximates ironic misogyny. Because in that form, in that engagement, in that medium, in that discourse, I would have a different set of presumptions going in, different expectations, potential effects, you know? I would never do that there. And if anyone in that position did engage in misogynistic language while debating her on like a news platform, I would condemn them severely for it. Is ironic racism okay? If not, what's the difference? Okay, the only reason I'm not going to do this is because I don't want to get more shit for it. But if some white boy lefty wants to call like a black conservative an Uncle Tom or whatever and get heat for it, I don't care. If they want to, you know, God be willing. You've literally done this. I've done lots of stuff, okay? Do you all understand? When do you think you've gotten good faith criticism for your community? Right now. I don't think anyone in chat who disagrees with me on this is acting in bad faith or is being stupid or is even wrong. I have a different perspective on this stuff, which has been formulated by several years of extremely antagonistic online engagement. And we have different perspectives, okay? I love you all very much. I think we've dedicated enough time and attention to this, okay? So rich white people make the best targets? Yes. Yeah, of course. I mean, who do you think can stand up to internet bullying better? Me or some, like, 200-follower trans account, right? I would rather it be me every time. That's the whole point of people like me with my job. That's the whole point. Yeah, people may disagree with me, but I'm never thoughtless with my language.
Do I have any final thoughts on this before I end the voting for YouTube? Not really. other than much like what Vaush said throughout that, where it's better for people to be attacking him than just some random like trans account or whatever. I wish more people would try and debate me, but I'm not big enough and don't have enough attention because I actually know the counter arguments against these lefties. I'm probably as left or more left than. Am I more left than Vosh? Well, yeah, no, I accept pedophilia. I'm more left than Vosh, like objectively, and I know the arguments for at least pedophilia better than Vosh does. Mostly because Vosh is an anti-pedo. Okay, Vosh, you can be objectively wrong in at least this thing. Alright, I'm gonna end the recording.